Books make you hope. Books make you dream. Books make you laugh. Books make you scream. This is the Books That Make You show, discussing books with authors and experts, unraveling the inner pages of all the books that help make us who we are.
Welcome, one and all. My name is Desiree Duffy, and I'm your host of the Books That Make You show. And today we're talking about books that make you slip into a fantastical saga filled with magic and 3 generations of witches. There is nothing like a series with lots of twisty family drama to get us turning pages. But what happens when that family happens to be comprised of witches? The Madigan Chronicles by Marieke Lexmond is a 6-book series that spans 3 generations of headstrong witches and includes 4 magical element-based objects. Now, the Madigans guard the wand of wisdom, which governs the power of fire. That's one of the elements. Then when Lucy, Grandma Madigan's evil twin, steals the Dagger of Consciousness, which governs the power of air, it sets off this roller coaster of magical mayhem. Lucy wants to possess all 4 magical objects. I mean, who doesn't want a couple of magical objects hanging around the house? But of course, if the Madigans are ever going to stop her, they really need to overcome their family differences. Now, Marieke, she reads tarot cards. She loves food, photography, travel. She says that she has 3 sassy little dogs that she likes to take everywhere. And they even have their own Instagram account, which we're going to talk about too. As a pagan, she felt an instant connection or feels an instant connection to the land and things that are natural. It feeds her imagination. And that's what has become the inspiration for the Madigan Chronicles. And at this point, we've got 4 books that are out. We're talking a little bit more specifically about The Wand because that was the recent winner in the BookFest Awards. Congratulations on that. And Marieke, hello, welcome to the show.
Hello, Desiree. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
My pleasure. Let's start with the big question and just give us the lay of the land with this incredibly epic family saga that you've created.
Well, there's a lot of characters in my book. As you told, there's generations of witches. And being a witch myself, I read tarot cards. And my tarot cards are very interwoven in the story. So the Madigan family comprised of 22 witches, male and female, because either way you can be a witch. And they all represent one of the major arcana of the tarot cards, and that's an archetype. So I must say I used it very loosely. But I obviously concentrate on just several witches because otherwise it becomes too much. But each chapter of the book represents one of the minor arcana cards of the tarot. So it embodies the feeling and the emotions that brings those cards. It's basically a family story, I think, in the end. It's a lot of family drama, as you mentioned. It's about self-growth, self-discovery, and because some of the witches, find out they have special gifts, and being a siren can be a little overwhelming. So, it's all going on. I love to write about magic, obviously, and I use real life practices and I spice it up with a healthy dose of fantasy.
Oh, I love it. Okay. I got to admit something to you. And I think maybe one of the reasons I was gravitated to inviting you on the show is many years ago, I went to New Orleans during Mardi Gras. It was one of those things. And one of the things that I had to buy, and I still have it to this day, is a deck of tarot cards. So I think that's really cool. And you're in New Orleans right now, right? That's where
I am in New Orleans at the moment. Yeah. And actually Mardi Gras is really starting up because next week it's obviously Mardi Gras is coming to an end, but now there's parades every day and it's just madness in town. So.
Oh. Now, as somebody who's living there, do you just stay away from everything? Do you hide out from the craziness or do you go and watch the parades?
I sometimes go and watch the parades, but I prefer the earlier parades that are a little smaller and a little bit more intimate than the big crowds. I'm just not good in a crowd, so I stay away from those. But obviously, you can't withstand the temptation to watch something. Or have a piece of king cake, for that matter.
Right, right. And if you're lucky, you find the little baby inside. They still do that, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so how much of you do you feel that you put into your books and your writing? How much of this is based maybe a little bit off of your life, your experience, your family?
I think as a writer, you are basically all the characters. In a sense, I would say it's very busy in my head. I talk to them a lot, even out loud. I learned during COVID because then my husband is home. He travels a lot, and at a certain point he said, "Can you just shout out my name? It's for me," because I'm just chatting away, and that's also how I develop certain storylines. I talk it through with the character, as it were, or I have discussions between them, or so they all live inside your head. And I think that's fun part of writing, is you can explore also sides of yourself that you are not wise to explore in real life. Let's put it like that. So, and obviously you take things from your life experience. There's no other way to write, because you write from something that you know, and I write from tarot cards, family. Those are big things in my life. So that's obviously comes back. I come from a family of 5. I have only brothers, so it's very fun to write, actually, like I have sisters. So there we go.
Oh, yeah. I hear from so many writers that say that their characters talk to them. It's almost like they become an embodiment or an ethereal person in their lives themselves. So it's really interesting when that happens, because it's a facet of yourself, and it's amazing to be able to explore those different elements of our own lives. So did you do any research? Have you been reading books? Have you traveled to different places in writing the books?
I definitely use where I've been. I traveled a lot. I've been lucky that way because I've worked, and my husband works in the film industry, and I still made a documentary 2 years ago about Greenland. Mm-hmm. And Greenland now features actually in book 4 of the Madigan Chronicles. So, I use that because I got a special feeling of that land, and it's such a special place. I wanted to integrate that in my story. And my witches live in New Orleans, and obviously how I see and feel New Orleans, I write about it, because I think witchcraft is all about feeling and all your senses, also the smells and the feelings, and not only what you see, but like here, if you walk under the big oaks and you see the light filter through the trees, that's something that inspires me then to write about. Or I constantly pick up stuff that comes back into the books.
I think a lot of people tend to have misconceptions, even nowadays, about witches and what it means to be pagan. Can you tell us a little bit about your philosophy and what it means to you?
I think, some people see it as religion. For me, witchcraft is not a religion. It's just how I was born. I see it as a way of life, about being in touch with nature, being attuned more to your feelings, to being more aware of other people's emotions or things that happen around you. And I love to live by moon cycles and nature cycles. So like with the seasons, I'm, be more aware when to go inwards, or like in the summer, go outwards. And I love the cycles in life. And I'm a big believer in balance. So I think that's also part of the witchcraft. And it's also one of the big themes in my book, because I don't believe people are good or bad. And it's like, people think, oh, witches are scary, but, they're just like everybody else. You have very nice people, and you have there's some people are just not that nice. So it's the same. And, I like to explore in my books, like if somebody's really evil, they also still have some good in them, or they have a good side, or even, because in real life I was at some point struck by, I really admired somebody who was always so kind and so friendly and so amazing to everybody around her, until one day, after several years, I saw the tipping point. And that's when that person got mad. It was just so bad that I thought, there's always needs to be an outlet on the other side. And I think that's one of the things, anyway, characters have in a book. They are really, it's the opposite. If you have one, you also have the other. Like Richard, he has a lot of strength. She's also insecure. So you play around with that. And I think witchcraft makes you very aware of feelings and, maybe, or at least that's what I try to do. Nobody's perfect. Be a little bit more empathetic towards others. And one of the things I like that the general paganism, it's fairly inclusive, and it doesn't encourage you to put everything in a box, I think, because I think we're all human beings, whatever shape, size, color, or whatever you want to believe. If we could just, accept people and not think about, oh gosh, we need to put a label on it, or they just accept each other. So I don't know. It's just, that's what I like about witchcraft, is they are more open to everything. So, because, you have even Christian witches or, they're all, so there's many ways how you can integrate it in your life. And I am not a group person. So I take from things that I resonate with and I made it my own. So it's uniquely to me how I live in this sense.
Yeah, that message of inclusion and accepting others and being you is so powerful. I appreciate you doing that. Now, you mentioned your husband and that you've created documentaries. Is there any plans or thoughts, anything in the works for making this series, adapting it into film or a TV show?
I'm definitely open to it, and it would be really awesome if we could ever make that happen, I think, because it really lends itself for to go everywhere. I also go into a fairy world, and I go on the astral plane, and it's just a lot of fun. And there's characters, and I think these days with like TVs, you get really a chance to explore certain characters more than in movies. Because actually, the Madigan Chronicles started as the first time I come from film. So before I started to write books, I wrote screenplays. Mm-hmm. And I started to try to write it as a film. And that simply never worked because it was just too many people, too much stuff happens. And so once a TV series came, I wrote a plan. People said, you should write a book because it's so much going on and you can really more explore it. And that's what I did. And I really love doing it because you can go more in people's heads and you can just have more fun with, exploring the characters fully, I think.
Yeah. And you get to create a world. It's world building too, especially in your situation where you have these magical artifacts and elements, and you're talking about the astral plane. You're all over the place. Can you talk about the magic and maybe give us a little bit more insights into what these objects are?
That comes from where I think as a witch, you're attuned to the elements. Mm-hmm. And elemental magic is one of the things that fascinates me. So in my story, each element has given part of itself into an object that is, and the witches many moons ago had promised to protect it. But it turns out, power always is tempting. So at a certain point, they started arguing and they decided that the best thing was to separate the elements because bringing them back together, people are just simply becoming too powerful. But my story starts when somebody steals one of the elements and then, the struggle for power starts again. And we will have to see how they deal with it, all these witches, because it's, nobody is, I think, free of temptation at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love how you have it almost reminds me of a Godfather-esque type of a setup with the family drama, or you have that, and then you have the magic into playing into that. And I can really see, we're talking about turning this into some kind of a film, or not necessarily a film, you're right, but a series, because nowadays there's so many opportunities on the streaming services to turn this into, each book could be its own series, and you've got 6 books. Yeah.
It's 40 chapters long, because each chapter is one of the minor arcana cards, 1 to 10 from the tarot cards. Mm-hmm. And as elements are also in the tarot cards, like the wands are fire, and so that's all related. So it could be 40 episodes.
Yeah. Now, is each book, it's intended to be read as a series, right? Somebody should start with book 1, or are they standalones in any way?
You can read them, because I do sum it up a little bit in hopefully an organic way. And but if you want to get the full story, it's the best to read it from the beginning to the end. Yeah, because it's one continuous story, and a lot happens. It's very busy in my books. Yeah, they go everywhere. It's a lot of people. So you have to like it that, you jump between characters. But although each book has certain characters I focus on, like in the Wands, I really dive into what is Maeve's story, and she really needs to grow in that book into her own and accept that she is not entirely human.
I love it. Could we talk a little bit about your social media? Because in addition to the Wand winning the Book Fest Award as a book, you also won in the social media category. Can you talk about that?
I did, yeah. I started with Instagram because I love Instagram coming from film. I have a degree in camera and lighting, so that comes in handy if you like Instagram. I thought, well, I have to keep up with the modern world many years ago. And I thought, I love Instagram because it's about pictures and stuff like that. And I had the dogs, and I started their Instagram account. And that's how I learned and played around a little bit with the whole situation. And now for the witches, it took me a little while to find the groove of what the voice is for the witches on Instagram. So it's under the witch's head. I explore that. And I do things like I post something what I think is really from me as a witch. And then I post things that are about the books. I post things that I see around me or that inspire me. I do quotes from the book. I mix it up a little bit, make a little movie, make a picture. And I have fun with it. And I must say I'm just lucky that I did film school in the Netherlands and that you have an affinity with it, because these days I think not only writing a book is enough. You have to do a lot of other stuff, and at least I enjoy Instagram a lot, or that's a lot. So but you have to do it every day. So I constantly look around me and think, gosh, is that interesting or that, or and have some fun with it. And sometimes I don't know what I have to post today. And then I just see something, like this morning I was walking and saw bees all of a sudden on yellow flowers. And I love bees. So I just posted a little film about that.
Oh, yes. Amazing. I love bees too. You're so right. I work with a lot of authors, and I tend to advise them when I can that when they're going to be on social media, to pick a social media platform that they love, that they want to be on, like you picking Instagram, because nothing is worse than trying to be somebody that you're not, or putting on this show if that's not what you enjoy doing. And Instagram is such a visual element. TikTok, we're on TikTok. If you're not willing to do videos and have some fun, it's probably not the right platform for you. So that's great advice right there. Do you have any other tips or advice to writers or other authors that you'd like to share?
I think it's be genuine. Huh? Who you are, I think, is important, and be willing to talk about it. Because I've been a witch all my life. I never really trusted with anybody because I generally stay away from religion or whatever I talk about. But now with the books, I'm just more open about it. And I think if you want to be an author, you have to want to be in the world. And so you have to be willing and practice to talk about it. And like with social media, pick something that's specific. So don't go all over the place and do something different all the time, but find something that's specific for you or for your books and stick to it. And I feel that's important. And don't forget to have fun on the way, because that's the most important thing, is you have to love what you do. Otherwise it's just a lot. And and you have to be willing to try other things. Like I have a website and I maintain it myself at the moment, or most of it. And I learned how to do that. Otherwise I would never learn how to do that. And I love that you learn new things. So,
and it's an amazing website too.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I love your website.
So it's something that just comes together, and I think patience is the hardest part. I think is my main lesson from the universe of this whole project is it takes time. Things take time, and you have to just keep going.
Yeah,
so don't give up. Keep going. So it's just that's, I think, for me the biggest lesson, because I have very little patience.
Yes. Well, then that's great advice. So many authors, too, what they want to do is rush. They finish the book and they just want to get it out there, and they don't realize that having that author platform, website, social media is oh so important. Making sure that you go through several editing rounds is important, too. And rushing things just never really pays out. And I think it always takes longer than we think it will, right?
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Exactly. If you could hand your book series to anybody in the world and be guaranteed that they read it, and you can't say Oprah, who would you hand your books to?
Oh, man, that's a difficult question. I never thought about that. I would say Ryan Reynolds. Because I think he's fun. He has humor. And he seems like a genuinely nice person.
Could you see him playing one of the characters from your books?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Maybe he can be Ron. Yeah.
There you go. Excellent. Okay. Can you tell us, so we were talking about your website and your Instagram and everything. Can you tell everybody where they can go to follow you and find out more about you and your books?
You can find anything about my books if you just either Google my name, Marieke Lexmond, or go to witcheshead.com. There's anything on there, from the books to recipes that the witches make, to spells that you can buy that I make myself, because I make spells, and I thought that ties in nicely with the witch family. News is on there. You can follow me on Instagram at Under the Witch's Head. And then if you love dogs, you can look up Urban Dog Squad. I'm also still have my own account, which is Marieke Lex. But that's basically nature pictures. So if you like nature pictures, go there. I'm also on Facebook, Marieke Lexmond, and Under the Witch's Head. And LinkedIn, I'm under Marieke Lexmond. And I think that's about it. Yeah, I stopped doing Twitter and because I didn't vibe with it. I am on TikTok at Under the Witch's Head. So, but I'm still experimenting there. So.
Excellent. The Madigan Chronicles is the name of your 4-book series. We have The Wand behind us, which is book 3. Book 4 is also out. There's going to be 6 books total. That's an amazing accomplishment. Marieke Lexmond, thank you so much for joining us today on the Books That Make You show.
Thank you, Desiree, for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You bet. You bet. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening today. You can find us on our website. It's booksthatmakeyou.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course on YouTube. If you're listening to the show and you ever want to see the show, make sure you hop on over to our YouTube channel and you can subscribe, ring the bell, leave a few comments because that always helps with the engagement. We really appreciate it when people do that. Until next time, all of my bookish buddies, please enjoy all of the books that make you exactly who you are.
The host and executive producer of the Books That Make You show is Desiree Duffy. Sound mastering and engineering by Dave Napox. Social media and content promotion by Siddhi Jahagirdar. Copywriting and editing by Mike Robinson. The Books That Make You show is an award-winning podcast produced by Black Chateau Enterprises.